Yo, Richard E. Moss Shinamore here. I want to talk about. I'll do that for the self care. Let me see. Um, 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 um. Yourself. I'm here to talk about yourself. Don't be, don't be fearful. Don't be fearful of being yourself. Just being. You don't need to pretend to be anybody else. You don't need to act out. Just be yourself. You hear what I'm saying? If your so-called friends can't accept you for yourself, if your so-called family can't accept you for being yourself, and I mean by yourself, I mean a God-loving, self-respecting, and a hard-working individual that's honest. I'm not saying if you're homosexual or if you're so-called different. I'm not talking about that. Be yourself by following God. Be yourself because you are really a child of God. That's who you are. What you're born into sin. You're born into this world of sin. But what you are is a child of God. So don't be afraid to be who you are, which is a child of God. That's how I should start the video off, but I'm going to keep it going. Don't be afraid to be a child of God. If you want to know how to be a child of God, if you have any kind of hatred and anger or resentment, you need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of that. You need to forgive. Forgive whoever you have hatred towards or resentment towards or anger towards, and be honest with yourself. Be honest. Be honest about these things, who you have these feelings towards. Because once you forgive them, the other emotions that come with the anger and stress and hatred, like fear and worry, all those other emotions, they leave. They go away once you forgive. You feel what I'm saying? And once you forgive and you return to God, because God will forgive you once you forgive. Because as long as you hate and resent and have anger, you're judgmental. You're judging others. You're judging that person that you have anger towards. You're judging them with hatred. You feel what I'm saying? And when you judge, you can't know God. You can't be close to God. You know? So if you really want to be yourself, which is a child of God, you have to forgive. You have to forgive. Everyone that's ever you feel like wronged you, you need to forgive them. Forgiveness is key. Forgive yourself. Don't have any hate or resentment or hatred towards yourself for however you've become, because it's not your fault. How you've become to this point to this point right now is not your fault, because you didn't know any better. This world, it'll brainwash you. You're of the world. I was of the world. You have to return to God. Don't be of the world. If you see a crowd of people, don't follow the crowd. Go the opposite direction. The opposite direction is in the way of God. The crowd, which is the way of the world, is the way of Satan. You feel what I'm saying? Don't be afraid. Don't have any fear. Once you are accepted by your Father, which is God, which He will accept you once you forgive all those that you have resentment and anger towards, He'll forgive you, and you'll be back within Him. You need to start worrying about your spirit. Don't be worried about your flesh. Don't be worried about your outside. Don't be worried about having nice clothes and cars and houses and money, tattoos, earrings, girlfriends, boyfriends, a lot of food around you, all the alcohol and drugs you can consume. Don't be worried. All the kids you can make. Well, if you're married, but no, don't be worried about that stuff. What you need to be really worried about is your spirit, because your time here is nowhere compared to the time once you leave this world. There's so much more time to be spent after you leave this world. Why wouldn't you want to ensure that you're going to go spend the rest of the end of your days after your life is ended? Why won't you try to ensure that you're going to go well, your life doesn't really end. It passes over. So why would you try to ensure that when your life passes over to the other side, it's to your Father God? By doing good here. You need to be worried about that. This world will confuse you. It'll confuse you and make you think that this is it. This is the final destination. Is the world? Is Earth? It's not. It's not. Don't just plan a one way trip. If that makes any sense. This is not the only place. This is not the last stop, I should say. Worry about your spirit. That's very important. Get to know your Father, which is God. And you can't get to know him if you have hate towards your earthly father. I don't care whether you know him or not, because I'm adopted. I don't know my real dad, but I still love him because I know, even though I never met him or my real mother, I know that I don't have hatred towards them anymore or anger. You feel what I'm saying? Because the same way that I make mistakes, I've made so many mistakes. You cannot type in my name, just type in my first name and my last name into Google without seeing the first thing that pops up for me is my image on Facebook of me shoplifting. For me shoplifting, I have a warrant for shoplifting. My mistakes are there to read. Thanks to the internet, my mistakes are there. I cannot ever say I never made any mistakes. But the same way I knew I couldn't help myself, regardless of warnings and eludings too. Despite all of that, I still couldn't help myself. So I know if I couldn't help myself with all those precautionary tales put before me, I know my parents couldn't help themselves. And that makes it easier to forgive. When you know that you've done wrong and you couldn't help it. You've been judged and you couldn't help it. You've held shame and you couldn't help it. So did your parents. And that'll cause you to forgive them. That'll cause you to forgive them because they were human too. They may still be alive. They are human too. Forgive. If I can forgive my parents, my real parents, who the devil, Satan, has tried time and time again to get me to hate. Always putting thoughts in my head are, oh, they didn't love you. If they loved you, they would have taken care of you. Your mother didn't care for you. She left you. All these thoughts that Satan puts in your head to try to make you resent your earthly parents. It's to get you away from God. That's why he lies to you. Because he knows if you resent your true father, your real father, you can never know God. He knows that. So he'll throw all kinds of tricks at you to get you to try to hate, to resent, so you can't get close to God. And that just proves to you that God, that Satan is real. That proves to you Satan is real. Because he's trying to keep you away from God. You can't say, oh, it's only God, there's no Satan. Because if there was no Satan, why would there be so many deterrents from God? Why would there be so many barriers being put up to get you away from God? To get you from loving God? You have to be worried about these things. This is what I truly fear now. It took me to what, the age of 24 to finally start waking up. Thanks to God. These are things you have to be worried about. Don't worry about this world. Worry about your spirit and where it's going. It's truly important that you accept God into your life. Accept Him as your Father. The Satan is out there, and he's going to try to deter you. But God is here too. And He's here to love you, save you, and bring you back to Him. That's the truth. You got to forgive. If you have anger, resentment, hatred, you cannot know God. You have to forgive. You have to forgive. And return to your earthly father. If you don't have them in your life, if you don't have your real father in your life, you have to forgive them. No, you made mistakes, and so they made mistakes. And that'll help you forgive them. It's key, brothers and sisters. It's key. Worry about your spirit, not so much the flesh. The flesh dies. The spirit goes on. That should give you hope. That should give you hope. If you're one of those people that says, "Oh, this can't be all that's left to it. This can't be all there is. Just this flesh, just this world. This can't be all there is." This should be good news to you, because it's not all there is. There's an after this. There's an afterlife. And you can choose right now in this world whether you want it to be with your father God or with your father Satan. And I would hope that you choose God. Yeah, I'm not going to talk your ears off. I hope this video finds you well. This is the truth. Peace.